Hi there, I'm Jenny Walsh, your host today here in the gallery, and with me is Erica Dale Strzepek, who is doing a exhibit here at the Media Center, working title Beaches, Barns, and Blooms. Erica, how are you doing today?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here, and I've had the privilege, of looking at some of your paintings before the show, and then obviously we have like a beautiful array of them here right now. Can I ask you, why watercolor? Is it just kind of like a technique that you feel really captures your personal vision or your personality as an artist, or is it kind of just something that you prefer to work with?
Well, in school, we worked in different mediums, and I, studied different things. I just took glass blowing, photography, painting, and acrylic. And then out of school, my husband and I have traveled a lot for different job placements, and watercolor was a better medium for me. There's little cleanup.
Yeah.
It's pack and go. You can do it on the fly. Where acrylics or oils, it's a little more complicated for some people.
Yeah.
Or for myself, I should say. And I've always found watercolor is very simple and suited my personality and my style.
Yeah, okay. So all I really know about watercolor is those little Crayola
Sure.
palettes that I used to get.
Like a pan.
Yeah,
Sure.
so I'm guessing you don't use the Crayola water
Sure.
palettes. What do you kind of use as a paint?
I use a Daniel Smith product. They're manufactured in the United States, and a lot of those pigments are natural-based pigments, and you can see some of that in my work where there's a natural shimmer to the paints. Watercolor comes in a tube and it's on a palette, and you just kind of keep it on your palette. I have several different size palettes, and I have palettes that are 20 years old.
Wow.
And I just wash and clean them up, and when the paint dries, the next time you use it, like you're using Crayola, you add water and you're good to go.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, and you said before, when I asked you about techniques, you said that you had done different techniques in school. You graduated from Franklin Pierce, is that right?
I graduated from Franklin Pierce in '96.
All right, and you had a degree in graphics and communication, is that right?
Yeah, graphic communications.
Okay, so how did you go from, graphic communications to the painting that you're doing now?
I have a minor in fine arts, and I've always painted. Certainly, going to school, I had the idea of needing a profession, and I did work professionally for a long time in advertising and commercial print. And about 10 years ago, my husband took a position in upstate New York, and we moved out to New York, and it was at that point when I was having my second child, I stopped working. And I started painting a lot more in my spare time, and people started encouraging me to, you should really try to sell your work, where before it was mostly the family all had my work, or gifts. People had gifts of my work, and I sort of, over that time span, I've been making sort of more of a push to sell work or be more available and do commissions.
Awesome. So did you always see yourself maybe doing painting someday? Did you grow up with a love for painting, or was it more something that kind of just came naturally? Did you kind of picture yourself doing more photography work like you did in school, or?
I always painted and drew, and I think it's always been something I've enjoyed doing. I think when I was a little kid, my grandmother would joke that I always wanted to work at a greeting card company, because I would always be drawing all the pictures and all the cards every year, and she's 91 now and
Wow.
has a whole stack of all these cards that I had done for her that she's
Yeah.
saving for me.
Oh.
So doing design and drawing and artistic work was always something I knew I would do, just not necessarily whether or not I'd be trying to be a professional artist.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And so what would you say is maybe some of the inspiration for your work, especially with these pieces? Is it maybe home life, or just, the beautiful scenery on Cape Cod, or?
It's definitely a lot of that. My work is usually more of a landscape base. I don't do lots of figure work. It's always sort of that idea of that serenity of where you're trying to be or to capture in that moment, whether it's the look of something in the falling snow, or the way the color is on the beach at that particular time. I'm not necessarily looking for a realistic interpretation, but what that feeling you're gonna get when you're looking at the piece.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so can you just like walk down the beach one day and say, that right there, that's what I want to paint right now? And
I do. Sometimes there's moments, and we'll take tons of pictures. I'm usually out with the boys or with my husband, and we're taking lots of pictures. And then I'll just kind of look over them and think about, wow, the color looks really great in that picture. Something you'd like to sort of emulate in a piece, I think would speak to somebody.
Yeah. All right, awesome. And all of these paintings are really great.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite, maybe one that you kind of put your heart and soul into, or one that you just kind of saw and you were like, I need to paint this, I need to paint this?
This painting in the back here, which is titled Youth Sojourn, it's a painting of Wings Island in Brewster. Okay. You take that walk out from the Natural History Museum, and Wings Island, if you've ever been out there, it's beautiful. Any time of the season, it's always a beautiful spot to paint. This particular painting is taken from a set of photos that I did when I was out there with my sister and my niece and my nephew and my boys. And it's sort of, the youth and the world it's all changing, and it's so important to sort of capture that and respect that and think about how that all works together. And that one's always kind of spoken to me. Really?
Okay, that's awesome. And how about this big one back here?
This is a painting of taken from the Audubon in Wellfleet. We were on a beach cleanup with a group that I've gone out with at times, picking up debris, picking up plastic litter, marine debris, and that is out when you're walking out off the boardwalk and you're walking out, and that day, that was probably 2-3 summers ago now, but the amount of volume that 4 people could take off a beach at one time, that being an Audubon, we did have permission to be there to collect, but a lot of times I'm on Nauset Beach taking walks, and I've got my phone where I'm taking pictures, and I've got a bag where I'm picking up things. And it's sort of just being one with the landscape and the moment of what we're in,
Yeah, so would you say maybe you prefer to do more of the beach paintings or maybe some of the winter paintings? I know I saw some of the winter paintings, and I'm not really around here year-round on Cape Cod, so I never really see the winter, but you managed to capture, I think, a lot of the ocean scenes really well.
When my youngest son was over at preschool in Orleans, I was over at Nauset Beach all the time in the winter. And someone can think that it's such a different landscape, maybe it's not going to be captured well in more of a monochromatic thing, but I think you can really capture that starkness and still capture the beauty. My husband's family is from the Berkshires, and both my husband and I went to school in New Hampshire, so we've seen a lot of winter, especially and then when we were out in New York. So again, that minimal color and a different feel that you're capturing when you're trying to present something that's in a snowy setting it can be a challenge for me, and I like that.
Yeah, definitely. So would you maybe prefer the challenge, or do you like to use your colors?
I think all of them can be a challenge in their own way. I have a lot of do-overs, a lot of do-over piles or piles that sort of sit and wait for me to make sure that I'm feeling the painting myself before I feel like it's done for, either myself or if I'm doing something for a client,
Yeah, and you have paintings of all different shapes and sizes here. Would you say maybe the bigger ones are harder because they're so large, or maybe the smaller ones because it's like a lot of detail in a little space?
The large paintings definitely are a challenge. I don't have a lot of them on a grand scale. I have maybe more in the 16 by 20, but the 5 by 5s, and I have a size that's more of an 8 by 8 that I do. I enjoy that, having 3 small children. I don't always have time to sit and paint, and sometimes it can feel really rewarding to finish a painting because it's on a smaller scale. where I have less time that I have to put into it per se than a larger piece.
Yeah, definitely. So I know this collection is great. Do you have any other past collections that you say really showcase you as an artist?
I think my collections in general are evolving, and as I'm able to build up more of a volume of work, they're changing. I have some pieces that are a lot of, I like to paint old cars and old trucks and sort of that genre of items, but I haven't been doing those recently. I don't know, right now I'm sort of in this mode where it's, you know, our immediate surroundings that are sort of taking the inspiration.
Yeah, and you said you also had a lot of clients that you have painted for. Has there been, you know, one client that has really like given you a challenge that you kind of took on like wholeheartedly and you were like, yes, this is like one of my best pieces, like I loved this challenge, this was great?
I'm currently working on a piece for a client. I'm painting the Brewster General Store.
Oh.
And it was, that was such a great thing that they came to me and asked me to paint when I realized it was the 150th anniversary of it. It was sort of very timely.
Yeah.
And that, I have to say, is a really challenging piece. The intricacies of the building, and it's such a popular building. I have been taking my time with that piece. And that's a challenge that I like to take on. I like to be able to connect with the customer and feel like everybody should have real artwork by a real artist. And it's great to be able to share that with people. I did a commission for a client in, she was from New York, and it was included her children on a visit to Martha's Vineyard, and she had sent me some scenes. And to hear back from them and how happy they are that you captured a small moment. And that was a big challenge for me because, like I said, figure work is not always something that I tend towards. And it felt good to kind of be able to capture that vacation memory for them and to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's very interesting that as an artist you can kind of, you know, get in touch with their feelings and then kind of give that feeling back to them that they had in that moment.
Yes.
That's awesome. So where can we find your work? This collection, you know, I've seen some things on Etsy.
Yes, my Etsy store is just my name, Erica Dale Strzepek. And I also have, you know, ericadalestrezpek.com, which is sort of a small blog, I have to say, very small. But it has some inspirational stories about some of the things that I, you know, about beach collecting, or little trinkets and things, and little stories about being, you know, young and what's inspired me. But basically my main site you probably find me on is on Etsy.
Okay, awesome. And, you know, do you have any goals for this collection in particular? What do you really hope people will take away from it?
The opportunity is the biggest thing for me. It's just great to sort of be able to find a venue that I can display at, and to be out there and sort of making these small steps in my career to become a more professional artist.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And what else can we expect to see from you?
Oh, goodness. Well, I just was jurred into the Harwich Guild of Artists in the fall, so I'm sort of on the waiting list to be in their gallery in Harwichport when the next spot becomes available, or the next 2 spots become available, I believe. And that's a great goal for me. I'm excited for that opportunity to sort of be part of the town that I live in and to showcase my artwork. So we'll see when that comes about, but that's sort of on my radar and something that I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Jenny Walsh here in the gallery with Erica Dale Strzepek. Check her out online, and thank you for watching.